Well, today on The Boiling Point, we're going to be talking to Stephen Taylor about gate valves and non-return valves and just some code with that. That's really good information. Before we get started, January the 22nd, 3rd, and 4th, make sure you're at ASHRAE. Come by our booth, get your t-shirt, the ever popular WARE t-shirts, and also sign up for Boiler 2024, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd out in Colorado. Looking forward to seeing you. Please stop by our booth. We love to see you. Again, share all the videos and like all the videos, and we're very thankful for you guys watching. Well, looking forward to Stephen today on The Boiling Point. Welcome to The Boiling Point. I'm Richie Ware, and this is Stephen Taylor. Now, if you haven't seen Stephen, Stephen is in charge of our rental department and actually gets involved with some installations, and so we thought we'd talk real quick about non-return valves, gate valves, and what you're supposed to actually use. Yep. So what do you got?
Main steam stop valve. So we've historically all the time put a gate valve, which is what's on the bottom, and then a non-return valve, which is the second valve up there, and a free blow in between them. And the theory behind that, the reason it's there, you got two valves there in a free blow, so that when you hooked into another steam line with other boilers feeding it, and you shut this boiler off and you want to do an inspection, you can shut both those valves off, open that valve up to make sure there's no steam coming back. Okay. That's what that's for. We've always used a non-return. The problem we've run into is that those non-returns, with the new technology on these burners, real high turn down burners, they're 6, 8, 10 to 1 turn down. The valves are good for 3 to 4 to 1. Mm-hmm. So anything below that, the valve, that check in there is click, 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 click. It's bouncing up and down, it wears itself out. Okay. So you get two issues. One, it's more expensive on the front end. Two, you're wearing it out, so you've got maintenance down the road. Mm-hmm. Well, code changed years ago, and we've, like everybody else, we've just done what we've always done. Mm-hmm. They said you don't need, it's not mandatory to have a non-return. Mm-hmm. You can have one if you want to. You can put a check valve in there. 2 stop valves is what code requires now. So we're changing what we've been doing. We're going to stop putting non-returns on where we don't have to, and just put 2 gate valves in. It's less money for the customer on the front end, a lot less maintenance down the road. The other issue we run into is those non-returns have a real high pressure drop across them. 12, 15 pounds is common across that one valve. Okay. And if you're running close, the customer needs 135 pounds, 150 pound boiler. 135 is about all I can run to keep them popping relief valves. Now I'm pushing the envelope. I can't get him that 130 pounds into his system because of the pressure drop across that non-return. Go with 2 gate valves, I have 1.5 pound pressure drop instead of 8, 10, 15.
Now your gate, your non-return valve, when you have, you put that in to keep things
keep steam from coming back.
But over time, you feel like that it actually will leak through.
We know that for a fact, that it'll work on the front end. Within a year, it's going to leak back. So it's not going to blow back, but it's going to leak back and get steam coming back, which is what it's supposed to not do. Right. But it's going to let steam coming back. And again, the reason for it is so that if you have this boiler sitting here idling or it's off, the other boiler is running, you don't want steam coming back into this boiler all the time. Mm-hmm. You want it sitting there, it's off, it's not to have steam coming back into it. That's what the non-return is for. And in theory, it works. In reality, with these high turn down burners, it's not where we need to go.
So if you're not using a high turn down burner?
If you're not using a high turn down burner, you can still put it in there. You can still put it in there anyway. Right. You can still put it in there and it'll work fine, but it's not something that you need to do. You're spending extra money on the equipment up front, and you're spending extra money on maintenance going down the road, so it's just not something we need to do anymore.
And again, just to go back through this now from a code standpoint, you can do either or.
You can do either or. Code requires 2 stop valves. States and jurisdictions, some of them like Texas, they recommend a non-return, don't require it, so you don't have to put it in there. And even if they recommend it, they don't call it a non-return, they call it 2 stops and a check. Okay. So the non-return's a combination, it's a stop and a check. Okay. But if you put 2 gauge valves in there and you want to check, just put an inline check in there. It doesn't have near the pressure drop, not near the maintenance, not near the cost. Go that route instead of using non-return.
Great information. Well, from an industry expert, we're going to use that word, been in the industry over 40 years. Good information, Stephen. Thank you. And we'll see you next time on The Boiling Point.